3 years after being announced in February of 2017, the Atlas Genset 2 is finally here. Was it worth the wait for the first factory-painted, HO-scale Tacoma Rail locomotive? Tacoma Rail, formerly known as the Tacoma Municipal Beltline, is a short-line railroad owned and operated by Tacoma Public Utilities. The railroad operates in and around Tacoma, Washington, primarily in the Port of Tacoma, as well as a local train on the Sound Transit-owned Lakewood Sub and the City of Tacoma's Mountain Division up to Frederickson, formerly operated by the Milwaukee Road in the Chehalis Western. In addition to freight operations, the railroad also does contract maintenance on BNSF and Union Pacific locomotives. Tacoma Rail's roster consists of primarily EMD-built locomotives, with the Genset being the only locomotive not of direct EMD heritage. Tacoma Rail 2100 was built in 2011 by National Railway Equipment, or NRE, of Illinois. The Genset has 2100 horsepower and is classified as a 3GS 21B-DE. Atlas calls this model a Genset 2 due to differences such as a shorter nose and a different long hood compared to earlier production Gensets. The model is packaged in a pretty standard box with a clear plastic window. Inside the box is the foam tray which holds the model, and a few sheets with parts diagrams and warranty information. Since this model is from the Atlas Trainman Plus line, it is a medium-level model detail-wise. It was announced by Atlas in February 2017 and finally shipped to dealers in January 2020. The model has several issues when it comes to detail, some quality control related, while others are discrepancies with the prototype. The exhaust stacks on the model appear to be a different design from the prototype and are quite a bit shorter in height. The other details are reasonably close, but the front and rear horns were both a little warped. The model also has some discrepancies in lettering, such as missing class lettering, as well as the word Tacoma and the Tacoma Rail logo being black, not gray. Atlas also did not use the correct font, a Gil Sans based font, for the Tacoma Rail lettering and logo. Likely the most disappointing printing issue with the model is the absence of the ultra-low emissions diesel Genset switcher lettering behind the engineer's side of the cab. Its absence is only made worse by the fact that Atlas did include the lettering on the other side of the locomotive. Another difference between the prototype and model is the color that the stepwells are painted. The stepwells on the model are white, but they were repainted red on the prototype sometime in 2016. At the same time, that was done to most of the Tacoma Rail fleet. Atlas did do a great job of matching the red of the Tacoma Rail paint scheme, and it's still a nice model despite lettering problems. The handrails look pretty close to scale, except for the areas painted white. Now that we've looked at the details on this model, let's see how it runs. The lighting is directional on DC and consists of front and rear headlights and front and rear ditch lights. The LEDs for the lights are a realistic warm white and have a good brightness. Out of the box, the model tested well on DC, but was fairly noisy for a modern locomotive model. When I opened up the model to install a decoder, I was surprised to find that it was equipped with a more modern 21-pin decoder plug, not the 8-pin listed on the manufacturer website. Unfortunately, this meant that the decoder I'd ordered wouldn't work, so I had to use a 2-function Digitrax decoder from another locomotive. This allowed me to run it on DCC, or Digital Command Control, but the ditch lights were disabled since the decoder only has 2 functions. The different plug is not much of an issue, since the 21-pin has become the standard in recent years, and the 8-pin plug is rather outdated. But it would have been nice if Atlas had updated the product description to reflect the change. While this model definitely has some issues, most of them are pretty minor. Most people would probably never notice the incorrect fonts or missing labels, nor would they care, and the 21-pin plug is an improvement over the advertised 8-pin plug. I'm still happy to finally have a mass-produced atrial scale Tacoma Rail locomotive, because the only option before was custom painting one. Overall, it's a decent looking model that runs well, and should fall under the good enough category for most modelers. For detail, I give it a 9 out of 10. For prototypical accuracy, I give it a 7 out of 10. While the overall details of the locomotive are pretty close to the prototype, the issues with the lettering and logos are a pretty big problem if you want it to be accurate to a Tacoma Rail locomotive. For performance, I give it an 8 out of 10. I didn't run into any issues while running it, but the drive train was rather noisy compared to other budget price models such as Walthers Mainline and Scale Train's Operator, which both have very quiet drivetrains. For overall quality, I give it an 8 out of 10. The overall build quality seems to be fine, but the missing lettering and issues with the fonts and logos seems pretty sloppy. This could have easily been fixed by comparing the pre-production model or drawings to the prototype photos before producing the model. I hope my review helps you make an informed decision if you're planning to buy an Atlas Tacoma Rail Genset. I'm pretty happy with my model, and I'm still glad to have it in my collection. If you'd like to see more reviews, model railroading videos, and more in the future, please consider subscribing. Thanks for watching.